In my opinion, right, take it or leave it, I think there are so many different things to be said about what's going on in Minneapolis right now, but both sides of politics are picking and choosing which parts they talk about, because talking about all of them makes them look bad. On the Republican side, I see a lot of Republicans not holding federal agencies to high standards because they're enforcing the laws that weren't enforced for a long time. It should not take overkill to subdue one person. It should not take 5 to 6 armed federal agents to take down one person. If it does, then that is not an efficient, reliable, or safe agency. Safe de-escalation is something that all people in uniform of every single agency has to be trained on. And you can tell that in many situations, ICE is not really properly trained on safe de-escalation. I think that these recent agents that were responsible for this gruesome situation should absolutely be held accountable and lose their positions indefinitely. At the same time, right, because so many things can be true at once, it is not a coincidence that all of these issues are only occurring in Minnesota. Hundreds of raids happening in hundreds of cities, and you're barely hearing a peep about those. You're not hearing about them because they're going perfectly normal. So my critical thinking tells me, okay, what's the common denominator? Maybe it's not a coincidence that the same state officials that were just caught in almost $10 billion of taxpayer fraud are now saying, no, guys, keep the chaos going. Keep it going, because it's keeping the headlines on ICE in their city rather than what they're doing in their city. Tim Walz is telling his people behind his gated community, saying, keep it going, keep doing your work, keep our streets clean. But then in the same breath saying that ICE is incredibly dangerous and even unprovoked, they are murdering US citizens. That's a contradictory statement, because if you really thought that ICE was going to randomly start gunning down your citizens every time they showed up on the same street as them, why wouldn't you tell them to stay home? Which again leads me to believe that you want a headline so badly that you're willing to sacrifice your own to get one, especially if it's off of your back. You can believe that Alex Preddy raised his own risk of danger while showing up and protesting while armed to federal law enforcement, while simultaneously believing that he absolutely did not deserve to die that day. And you can believe that some of these protesters are really just nice words for agitators, and they deliberately provoke chaos, while simultaneously believing that ICE should then be trained to interfere without using lethal force. Republicans need to realize that just because interfering with law enforcement is, yes, illegal and wrong, that doesn't give law enforcement the right to behave however they want. And to leftists, stop setting up games of chicken and I'm not touching you with federal law enforcement. Because after a really long time of that, inevitably, some people are going to make mistakes. And when those mistakes are made, whether it be ICE agents or protesters, the left uses those clips and they secretly, I think, get excited because now they can prove their point. See, we told you so. And as transparent as it is that ICE can obviously do no wrong to Republicans, it's equally as transparent that you guys get gratification from finally having proof that you're oppressed by ICE. The preconception you had before they were even in your city at all. You finally have that rare worst case scenario moment on camera, and you're going to post it everywhere to prove your point that you were right, ignoring the hundreds of thousands of other deportations that have went off without a hitch. So again, in my opinion, I think both sides need to step back and regroup and actually ask themselves what's important to me and how low am I willing to stoop to get there.